Finally, an answer to the age-old question, which comes first, the chicken or the egg roll? Easy! Just eat whichever one's closest. The Sensation Salad and Filet Sandwich Meal are back at Zaxby's. Both feature our famous hand-breaded chicken, crispy wontons, Asian slaw, and citrus vinaigrette. And each comes with its very own egg roll for a limited time only at Zaxby's. Try them with fried pickles while supplies last.
From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, proudly presented by Zaxby's. Indescribably good. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Use promo code WARCHANT30 if you're listening to us on YouTube. Thank you. How about you hit the thumbs up button, maybe even subscribe to the YouTube page. If you're listening to us on an Apple iOS device, go over to iTunes, leave a 5-star review for us. Much obliged. Those are much appreciated. They make me happy, but probably not as happy as Corey Clark is right now. His Atlanta Braves, victorious in the postseason. They won a series. Let's go.
First time since 2001, my man. First time since October 12th of 2001. Do you know what happened the very next day after Florida State won their last postseason series?
Florida State or Atlanta?
Sorry, the last time Atlanta won its last postseason series.
What was the date?
October 12th, 2001.
October 13th. I feel like that's a day that should live in infamy, but I don't know.
It was when Florida State's 10-year unbeaten streak went by the wayside at home when they had to play the Miami Hurricanes.
Oh, I was there. I was there for that. Were you there?
I knew. Well, I had to work the night before, and I'm like, I'm not going down there to watch that. Are you crazy? Right. That was Chris Ricks as a freshman against that team. It was the route you would expect. But I just looked it up, man. So Florida State lost 49-27. Andre Johnson scored 2 touchdowns. Ed Reed blocked a punt that was returned for a touchdown. Vilma had a touchdown on a fumble return. Phillip Buchanan had 2 picks. Jeremy Shockey had a touchdown. McGahee had a touchdown, and Clinton Portis ran for 122 yards. Like, what college team would compete with that? That was nuts. I mean, Florida State gained like 470 yards in that game. They ran for over 200. Remember those days, folks, when Florida State could run on good teams? But Chris Ricks threw 4 picks and fumbled twice.
Kept it close for a half, right?
It was 21-13 at half, and then they went right down the field and scored. And then Ricks got hit and fumbled, and they scored again, and it was 35-13, just like that.
Just like that. Yeah, I remember I was still at UCF and drove up for the game because everyone's like, yeah, let's all go to Tallahassee for the game. I'm like, you guys do realize that Florida State's just going to get absolutely decimated. Everyone's like, hey, who cares? We'll party. And we parked at the Publix, like the original Publix on Pensacola and Ocala. And we walked from there to the stadium, and it was so hot. And for some reason, we were drinking Bacardi O. That was like a new thing, Bacardi O, like orange citrus flavored Bacardi rum in the heat. Such a bad idea.
I bet.
Such a bad idea.
Do you remember all the game though?
I don't remember anything about the game. No.
You didn't forget much. Michael Boulware had a 75-yard fumble return in that game.
That sounds
for a touchdown.
familiar.
Yeah.
Good old Mikey Boulware. All right, it's a Friday edition of the show. We're going to do some over-unders here in a little bit.
That's not to say, by the way, that I think Florida State is going to lose this game after the Braves wrap up their next postseason appearance. I thought it was interesting how long it's been.
Yeah.
All those guys are retired, right? Like literally every player in that game has retired from the NFL and is collecting a pension. Ed Reed's on the sidelines being a
chief of staff.
Is that what he's called? The chief of staff of player morale or something?
Yeah, culture coordinator or something. I think.
There you go.
Good for them, though. Good for them. Enjoy Clemson next week, everybody. Enjoy Clemson. Imagine if they beat Clemson.
Come on, why are you even putting that in? Why are you putting that in the universe?
I don't know. Would that make you feel better?
Oh no, I think as a Florida State fan, you want Miami to lose by 100. I think that if Miami goes and beats Clemson, then oh boy. Miami. I mean, I guess the game, the score presented that anyway, but now you're really going to hear about Miami being back.
Right.
And, yeah, that might just get you further and further behind in recruiting.
Well, I just meant like in terms of maybe you don't think the 52 points was as much of an, maybe it wasn't an aberration. Like maybe it's a legitimate team and there's nothing to be ashamed of, but it's.
I mean, I think if Miami goes, we'll talk about this next week because Lord knows we don't want to talk about Florida State, Notre Dame. But I think if Miami goes up there and puts 30 on the board, 33, I think you could feel a little bit better about the defense. Like, okay, well, but if Miami goes and scores 10, then and Derek King looks like a human, then you're like, all right, great. That's perfect. Just like Jeff Sims looked like a freshman against everybody else he's played.
Syracuse.
Yeah. Yep.
He looked like that against Syracuse.
Hey, man, UCF's a very good program, and they have a great offense. Their defense isn't any good at all. And I think Georgia Tech scored 21 against them. So, yeah.
Worth mentioning before we get to the over-unders right now on warchant.com, FSU Football Roundtable taking stock of the program and looking to the future. Although I feel like mainly we spoke about the past. So check that video out. It's on YouTube. It's also up on Warchant. Basically, we batted around a couple questions about who's to blame for where Florida State is right now.
Who's most to blame?
Most to blame.
Because everybody's to blame. Literally, how many people would you say have their – I'm talking about there are literally 50 to 60 people that have their hands in the blame bowl, going from obviously Jimbo, the administration, Willie, David Kelly, Malik Henry, DeAndre Johnson. There's a Francois. There's a ton of them in there. It's just who's the most to blame. Who's got the biggest portion of their hands in the bowl.
Spoiler alert: Jimbo Fisher. Everybody.
I was thinking about that. I know you bristle at that. When Leonard Hamilton in his second or third year wasn't going to the tournament, was that his fault or Steve Robinson's fault? Like, who did you blame more? And basketball obviously is a little different because there is a quicker turnover and it's not as big a roster. But, obviously to me, most of the blame lies at the guys that started pushing it downhill. Then it goes to the guy that got in and hit the gas and sped it downhill. But if Jimbo doesn't leave, if he stays like Dabo stayed and Nick Saban stayed and Kirby apparently is going to stay at Georgia, this thing was a juggernaut. It was a juggernaut. And for whatever reason, and there are many, he decided he wasn't happy anymore. He lost control of the program.
He lost focus.
He did not recruit well. His coaching staff was a joke. He didn't care enough. I don't understand how any Jimbo fan could look at the staff he put together after the 2013 season and said, yep, he was doing right by Florida State. He was making good decisions, and Florida State should have honored it. I mean, he had lost control of not just the guys he was bringing in, but the coaching staff was a wreck. And so that made them have to go hire Willie Taggart. I mean, they still didn't fire him, but it was so bad he wanted to get away from it. He knew what was coming. I honestly, genuinely believe that. If he thought the 2018 Florida State football team was going to look like the 2013 team, no chance, or even be a good team, no chance in Hades he leaves for A&M. No chance. He's too competitive. But he saw the writing on the wall, man. He saw what was happening, and he bailed. Then the second biggest mistake was the hire. Or the second biggest blame to me was the hire. I don't want to give away all of our answers. And you agree with that, Aslan. I know you're a Jimbo guy. I think when you hear us blame him for what happened, where the program is now, you think we're taking away from what he did in 2013 and in 2012.
No, I don't think
because
so.
Because that was him too. You know what I mean? He deserves all the glory for that. But then when your program goes down, you deserve the blame for that. That wasn't anybody else's fault but his. He replaced Pruitt with Charles Kelly. He replaced name people. He had Bill Miller on the staff. He would not replace Rick Trickett. He recruited those quarterbacks. Nobody else recruited Malik Henry and the DeAndres. He did. Same with Cosentino and James Blackman. Those were his guys. Nobody's going to tell Jimbo who to recruit at quarterback. He made those mistakes. So that's all. It doesn't mean he takes away. Still, 13 was the coolest moment of my professional career. It was awesome. It was really fun. And I'll never forget it. I thanked him for it after the season. I know we're not supposed to do that as journalists. I went up to him and thanked him, like during the spring practice, like how awesome it was. Part of it was me finagling for a story I wanted to write where he'd give me some time. But also I was genuinely thankful after what I'd covered the first 3 or 4 years of on the beat at Florida State to cover a program like that again was awesome, and it was really fun. And I was really appreciative. But that doesn't mean he doesn't deserve, he didn't wreck it there at the end. Anyway, nobody.
Oh yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, you guys just say everything you want, and then like I can't get anything edgewise. You guys literally all had 3 minutes.
Let's get to the over-unders, Aslan.
Watch the video, everybody, and watch how much uninterrupted time they all get to continue to shovel on a guy that's been gone for 3 years, and then I talk for 30 seconds like, well, actually, you know what? It's like, I don't know, like talking about Jimbo Fisher for me is, I don't know, like defending Donald Trump on MSNBC or going on Fox and blaming Donald Trump for everything. It's like, wrong crowd, read the room, you're never going to win. I just think, and it doesn't matter because everybody that listens to the show, all my clients, my customers, everybody's a Florida State fan. I think if you polled the nation, like 75% of people would think that this place went crazy allowing everything to happen. And but it doesn't matter because
he
no
left,
one cares
right?
about those people.
He left. We don't need to relitigate it, but he left. It's not like they were telling him to go. And it's not, if they had fired Jimbo Fisher, then yes, they would be the laughing stock of the country. The guy left. And why'd he leave? I think
feel
that's
appreciated, but that doesn't.
I mean,
matter.
come on, that's that's weird.
Like
Nick Saban didn't feel appreciated. He flirted with Texas. They never feel appreciated. Maybe Dabo does, but even Dabo a couple years ago, everybody gets mad because we're winning. We're not winning by enough. None of these guys ever feel completely appreciated. But I think you miss. Like I just said it. Like I appreciate what Jimbo did. It was an awesome run, and I admit that. But what do you? It's like you. It's not like we went from 13 to 18. There was that gap there, that 5-year gap where we all saw what happened. It didn't happen overnight. So, but mainly, I think if Jimbo stays and doesn't leave and they re-up, maybe somehow he gets back to being engaged and wants to win the ACC again. I don't think 2018 obviously doesn't look like it did. Neither does 19. I think they're in a better place right now. Because right now they're in the worst place they've ever been. I just think Jimbo started the push downhill and then jumped out of the car. Man, I am rolling with that car analogy. I think that's going to be the one I stick with, Aslan. I know I've done a lot. I've done some ships. I think I might have even done a plane or a helicopter at the time, but I think I'm going to go with the car going downhill because it's not as grotesque as like people drowning. I don't know. So anyway, that's what I think. He pushed the car down. The car was going downhill. He jumped out of the car. Taggart jumped in and just pressed his foot on the gas.
I just think, he was driving on a road that was not paved adequately for him. And so
Hey,
I still don't think a guy just absolutely, I don't know. But I mean, again, and another thing too, and we can't get, I just love how we're like, well, he had a lot of stuff going on in his personal life, but we can't talk about that. It's like, well, then we need to stop talking about him. Because if we're not going to talk about that, which I cannot imagine how that would affect a man, then we really can't get the complete picture and talk about it.
You can't imagine how a nasty public divorce would affect, and the rumors that were surrounding the divorce would affect a man?
I can't. No, I'm saying like I've never, I cannot imagine that. I cannot put myself in that because I've never experienced anything that probably remotely comes to that kind of shame and embarrassment. Like I couldn't. Like for me to try to act like I could would be totally disingenuous. And then, like, what we can't talk about.
You've never had your heart broken, Aslan?
I think you're maybe I'm not using the right terminology here. That's a completely valid, completely, impactful moment in his life, man, that totally could help a guy, quote, lose focus. Anyhow. Jacksonville State, 4 p.m. I don't know what channel it's on. Look it up, everybody.
I think it's one of them. I don't think Raycom's around anymore. It's one of those
Fox
regional
Sports Network.
Fox Sports
check out
regional
your Fox
networks,
Sports,
right? Yeah.
So if like you're in Phoenix, it's on Fox Sports Arizona. If you're here in Florida, it's on Fox Sports Florida. I think channel 402 for my people in Tallahassee that got Comcast. Also, I'm fairly sure it'll be on ESPN3, so you can watch it on your laptop. It'll be the first game Jacksonville State plays this season. They went 6-6 last season, playing an FCS-only schedule. I guess maybe the most notable game was a one possession loss, 24-21. They fell to Southeast Missouri State. Southeast Missouri State would go on to the FCS National Championship game where they would fall. I think Jacksonville State might have even pushed Auburn to the brink a few years back. But maybe there's a little bit more juice for them because they're in the state of Alabama, and obviously, Auburn being in the same state as well. But again, this team has not played one single solitary game. They've had 8 weeks to prepare, though. They started practicing on August 1st. 29th offense, total offense in the FCS out of 124 teams last year, Corey. 14th passing offense, 56th total defense. They actually have two quarterbacks. They got the Zedrick Cooper kid, who was a transfer from Clemson, and then Zion Webb, who's a little more flashy, a little quicker, a little faster. Only really person of note I've seen defensively is Zach Woodard, kind of a throwback linebacker, smart guy, academic, all whatever, and also tackles a whole bunch of people. But they lost, I think, their leading receiver, their leading rusher from 2019, if I'm not mistaken, are no longer with the program. So I don't know. This game, I feel anxiety about it, but I feel like I shouldn't because, again, I just think ultimately Florida State having 2 games under their belt, having taken live action that you can't replicate in a scrimmage, no matter how hard you try, will just ultimately be able to help them, pull away in this one. But I don't think a blowout. I don't think a blowout.
That would be surprising against a team that can throw it. That they would like shut them down because you got to get a pass rush to shut down a team that can throw it. And Florida State doesn't have one of those probably against any team. And that would be a huge sign of concern if, again, for the 3rd game in a row, they aren't anywhere close to the quarterback with their front. Because if you can't do it against Georgia Tech, I'm not expecting you to do it against Jacksonville State. So we'll see what it looks like. But, hey, they might score some points. They might score more than 23. They might double up what they've scored in the first 2 games. That would be something.
Tate Rodemaker era then would begin, I would assume. Are you thinking James Blackman starts? Like if you had to bet?
Yeah, I would think. If I was betting, yes, I would say James Blackman starts. I think the best case scenario for these coaches is Blackman, he's going to play well in the first drive because they've been repping it. And then so you give him a couple of drives, and then hopefully you score some points, and then you put in the backup to get some meaningful reps. And then, you go from there. You can always go back to James if they don't play well. But yes, I think that's how you sell it. I don't think they're just going to bench James for this game. I think he will start. They're hoping that one of these guys plays well enough that they're going to play against Notre Dame too.
So how does it look then? And I'm not trying to be the negative guy. Please grab your blanket, everybody. So how does this look then? James starts, does okay. Tate, Jordan, Chubba, some sort of combination of them comes in, also looks fairly serviceable, has some sort of grasp of things. You go to Notre Dame and then most likely struggle, maybe have a good first drive, probably find yourself struggling to move the ball offensively. Then at that point, do you hope that you have enough data to pick out one of the other 3 guys and it's kind of their gig the rest of the season unless somehow James Blackman miraculously is tuned into something that we haven't seen?
I think so. I mean, again, I think more like obviously an outsider. I'm not a coach trying to win games. I mean, I'm sure I don't know if Norvell's thinking to himself, we got no chance against Notre Dame. He's obviously not saying that out loud to anyone. But I know they don't have any chance against Notre Dame. So my whole philosophy would be, all right, well, get the guys reps in this game against Jacksonville State. Get them to feel good about themselves. Get them reps, them or he, whoever we're talking about, reps against a really good defense to get him acclimated to what that looks like. And then as long as he doesn't soil himself, you ride with him the rest of the way. Hopefully he can have enough positive moments in a blowout, which is going to probably happen in South Bend, that he can feel good about himself that you can start him the next week. Because it's after Notre Dame, to me, is where the season starts. You'll have, what would you have then? 8 games left? 7 games left. You'll have 7 games left and probably a bowl. So you got 8 if they do that. You have 7, 8 games left. You gotta start anew at the quarterback position. I think these 2 weeks give you that chance to do that because there's really no pressure. There's no pressure going to Notre Dame, weirdly. None. 0. Nobody expects you to win. James Blackman ain't going to win in South Bend. We all know that. So you get to play the young guys. Hopefully they have some nice moments. They build on some things. They can learn from some things. And then you play a much easier, in my opinion, defense. I think North Carolina's after that, right? Maybe Louisville.
I should have the schedule pulled up.
Whoever the next opponent isn't going to have the defense that Notre Dame has, unless it's Pitt, which I don't think it is. Man, I don't even know the schedule anymore.
All right,
guys.
so they have Notre Dame after Jacksonville State, North Carolina, then Louisville.
Yeah.
Off.
So Yep.
Pitt, NC State,
then,
Clemson,
okay,
Virginia.
yeah. So North Carolina and Louisville, they're neither one of them are going to be easy. North Carolina especially, but their defenses aren't Notre Dame. So at least you should feel a little more comfortable with your offense going to that North Carolina game, and hopefully you can win a shootout. And then same with Louisville, their defense isn't anything good at all. That's what you got to hope for.
You're going to outduel Sam Howell. I mean, I'm not trying to talk like Sam Howell is.
Well, no,
Johnny
I'm not.
Manziel,
I mean, what are you going to do? You can't. You're not going to stop Sam Howell. So the only way you're going to win that game, I'm not saying he's going to outduel him, but the only way you're going to win that game is to score 30-something points at least. So you've got to get the offense there. James Blackman ain't doing it. He is not doing it. So try to use these next 2 games to build up some confidence in those young guys, because to me that's the only way you can score enough points to beat North Carolina and Louisville, frankly.
I just, if you get the improvement that we hope for out of one of these quarterbacks, I mean, I guess it's like a good problem to have, but like, will we be sitting here if they somehow, beat North Carolina and Louisville and hang 30-something points with one of these other quarterbacks and be like, well, why didn't they just start that guy week 1 then?
Well, but we know, right? Like, I don't think you can start. Number one, James Blackman might look like a whole different guy in practice. He might have had everything under control, making all the right reads, all the right checks. He's not taking sacks because they don't sack him. So you don't get a feel for what a guy is until you see it. They saw it against Georgia Tech. They had a week off. None of the guys that they thought would actually be contributing to the start or be to potential starting quarterbacks was healthy enough to even really start practicing until the season started. And so I don't know. I don't know that you throw Tate Rodemaker out for his first start against Miami. I think then you're saying we are completely giving up on this game. Now that you know what you are for sure, though, now that Miami has peeled back all the layers and you know exactly what you are, then yes, now I think you got a little more. Don't you think you have a little more leeway as a coach? A little more, what does it matter? Like, nobody's going to criticize you for playing a freshman. Not when we now have 2 games. Well, we have a lot more than that. But in your offense, we have 2 games of data when it comes to James Blackman.
No, maybe not start, but maybe have gone to them a little quicker rather than the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely. I think Jordan Travis could have come in much earlier in that game. Yeah. Obviously, Chubba wasn't ready. I don't even know if Chubba was there.
Yeah, and
Rodemaker they just didn't feel was ready, and I trust them on that. But yes, Jordan Travis should have come in the game quicker. Travis J, Corbin, Toafili, somebody should have been taking snaps. That you should have had a backup plan other than the fourth quarter of a tie game to say, Jordan, get out there. That should have happened. It was very, very obvious to all of us who had watched this kid play for 30 games. Man, he's lost it. This is the James Blackman we remember. He's not going to find it again. Take our word for it. Put in, if you got another option, go for it now, because it's not. He's frazzled. And they kept going with him. Even that final drive, they kept going with him, and it did not. So they definitely deserve criticism for that. That was not Jimbo's fault.
Thank you. Is there any one player that you think would give the biggest boost if they were able to be back, either be back from injury or undisclosed reasons, or maybe just someone that wasn't healthy?
Timmy Jernigan? You think Timmy Jernigan maybe? Burns would be huge too. Oh, you're talking about guys on the current roster?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I mean, the easy answer to me is Chubba. Just see what you got with the kid. Just ride or die with these 2 guys, especially after the Notre Dame game, man. When you're going to get housed again, you're hopefully going to be 1-3. I'm not saying Saturday is an automatic. So, but you're hopefully going to be 1-3. You've lost to the worst team in the ACC besides yourself, and then had 2 blowout losses to the 2 good teams on your schedule. At that point, you legitimately have nothing to lose. Start building for the future and go from there. I know that's not the question you asked, but yeah. I just think Chubba. I think Chubba and Tate, or Chubba, Tate, and Jordan. Chubba, Tate, Jordan, and Travis J. Whatever you had to do, figure out a way to get a quarterback play that's, commiserate with the history and tradition of Florida State University.
Isn't it commiserate?
Whatever.
You said commiserating is what you and I do on this show.
Commensurate. I think it's commensurate. I did this last year. I can't ever get that word right. Commensurate.
Right. I was going to wonder if you're going to maybe go off the board, do something crazy maybe Mako Dotson actually can play, and if that gives you perhaps a better cover corner, maybe the pass rush isn't as egregious Or maybe it doesn't look so weak when there's guys actually covering receivers.
Maybe Kando too, I guess. See if he's healthy. But yeah, Miko would be a nice addition, I guess. Nasruddin. There are some guys out there on the defense that could be difference makers, but we haven't seen them, and who knows when we will.
And also, real quick, just again on Jacksonville State, they actually they do return their leading rusher, who is Michael Matthews. He had 585 yards and 5 touchdowns, but their leading receiver last year is a kid from Miami Central. He's now gone, Jamari Hester, 6'7", 210.
Wow,
that would have been tough.
Yeah,
that would have been tough. No relation to Jesse the Jet, though. Apparently,
okay, all right.
In his bio, so. With that said, let's go to the Williams Sportsbook. Coldest beer, brightest, biggest televisions in town with our over-unders. We tied last week. I was 1 up on Corey after week 1, so I still am 1 up. So let's see if we have any disagreement on this sort of stuff. Let's begin. First proposition from the Williams Sportsbook. Lawrence Toafili rushing yards. My goodness, this is 57.5 over-under.
Over.
Yeah, right? I mean,
he ran for more than that against Miami, and I think he's the second string guy, but he will be getting many reps, especially in a game like this. As long as he stays healthy, yeah, I'm gonna say over on that.
It's like, do we think that LaDamian Webb will be back? And maybe, yeah, I mean, that's just, I guess
even if he is, I don't know how that should affect Toafili.
I guess they're trying to lose money over the Williams Sportsbook. This is like charitable. This is charitable. James Blackman snaps 20.5. Over.
Under. I'm going to say over. I go over. I know that's not what people want to see here, but yeah, I'm going to say over on that. There's 80 snaps in a game, typically, right?
He had 45 in that blowout against Miami.
Yeah, I think you look at I think you're looking either because they get a big lead, which, again, I'm not banking on, or because he's ineffective. I still think he's going to have at least 4 series. And, the way the offense moves with him, you could have a 13-play, 29-yard drive. So that's 13 plays right there. So I'm going to say over. But not by if the number was 38,
oh yeah.
That I think I'm going under.
If the number was practically double, I would go under. Look at that. That's the kind of stuff that we love from Corey Clark. FSU defense.
What'd you say?
I'm going over as well. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Tackles for loss for the FSU defense, 9.5. I'm taking the under on that.
Yeah, because I don't even think they're going to try to run the ball. And they're certainly not sacking them 7 or 8 times. So I'm definitely taking the under on that.
All right. Warren Thompson catches.
Oh, boy.
2.5.
Oh, boy.
Week 3, your number 2 receiver, the line is 2.5. Help us.
I'm going to say over. I don't know if Terry's going to play, how effective he will be. They're going to want to have that big body deep threat that might there's a chance he could catch it. So I'm going to say he's going to have over 2.5 catches.
I think he is 2, but I guess I'll differentiate myself here. I'll say under. He'll get 2.
Okay.
It'll be the Keyshawn show. It'll be the Pokey show.
Maybe a little Cam McDonald action too.
There we go. Maybe Tron.
Mm-hmm.
See how Tron live in America. Marvin Jones, it says on the line here, but I think it means Marvin Wilson. Or maybe Jarian Jones. Who knows? But let's say Marvin Wilson.
Let's combine Marvin Wilson and Jarian Jones for this question.
Pro Football Focus grade 82.5. 82.5.
Well, okay, so he doesn't play the first half.
Yeah.
So he's playing the second half, and he's going to be playing some tired Gamecocks. I would assume he's going to do well against these guys. He should eat them for lunch. He's going to get double teamed a lot, but he's still going to he's going to dominate those guys. So I'm going to say over 82.5.
Just to give everybody some context here, last season, what was the line here that we sit on at 82.5?
Yeah, last year he graded out like 90 overall, didn't he?
82.5. He only graded out over 82.5 twice, Boise and Virginia.
But then yet his total grade for the season was like 90?
Yeah. So
I mean, all right.
the
Well,
amount of money we.
It's like new math. It's like me trying to help Brady with middle school math. I don't understand how. What's the answer? Well, how did you get that? Well, I can do it this. No, we don't do it like that anymore. Well, then I can't help you, man. Go Google it.
I will take the under. What did you take?
I took the
on
over.
him?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the Jacksonville State middle of that line might be in for a bad second half with him.
Here we go. Total points scored 53.5.
Is that the number?
That's the number.
Mm.
I'm going to take the over.
I guess I will. It's so hard, man. It's so hard to bet on. I keep killing the kid, but it's so hard to bet on James Blackman putting up a bunch of points. But I'm going to do it. I am going to bet on him. I'm going to do it. This is the last chance, James. Come on, man. One time here. I will say the over as well. I think you could look at like a 40-20 type score. 40-27, something like that. 36-24, something like that is what I think you're looking at.
Actually, 53.5 is a big number.
Yeah, I know.
At first, I was like, "Oh, that's so." Yeah, of course, you're going to hit the over.
35-17, you're under.
Oh yeah, we're well under it. Well, not well. Under. 1.5. Again, I'm not trying to like create drama here for this game, but I just really am curious to see how a team who's had 8 weeks to prepare for one single game is going to look against a team that's got some wounds to lick. But again, at the same time, I just think the fact that I know I've said this probably 10 times this week. Like Jacksonville has not played an organized collegiate tackle football game against anybody else. And I just don't know what kind of shock. I mean, not that Florida State's like 2013, and it's not like Terrence Brooks is rushing off the edge and, Ronald Darby's running on guys' hips everywhere they go and like a shadow. But I just think ultimately, man, that's just going to be, that's going to be the determining thing here. And if they have learned to play football and to turn off their mind and just, have fun again, it will work out. So I'll take like 38-17.
So you're going over too? So do we're in lockstep with all of them?
No.
Or it's just the Warren Thompson?
Thompson and Marvin Wilson. I said
okay. All right. Okay. All right. There we go. We got a couple then.
It's a half. What's he going to really be able to do in a half? But I guess,
it's just the grade, though. It's not tackles, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of time to wow, but he doesn't have a lot of time to get his points dinged up either.
That's right. That's what I was thinking.
All right. Okay, folks, so that's a wrap for us here this week on the program. We'll be back, obviously, Monday to talk about this game and maybe even look ahead to Notre Dame. Don't forget the ESPN 97.9 pregame show with Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang, also simulcasts on our YouTube channel. And then approximately 10 minutes following the game, there'll be the postgame show with Gene Williams and Tom Lang. That's on YouTube. It's our Warchant TV. So check us out over on YouTube if you haven't done so already. It's totally free. It's a whole new fun way to enjoy your favorite team being covered by the best folks on the beat. It's an FCS team. I'm not going to have you give us any sort of, big push into the weekend, Corey. But just be ready for the Notre Dame week when we go into that one, all right?
And just everybody go Braves. And also, this isn't our fault, so don't hold it against us. Trust me, you're listening to two guys that would love to be covering a 3-0 football or 2-0 football team that was number 4 in the country. So just we're all feeling it together and enjoy. Hey, looks like the weather's clearing up, cooling down, starting to feel like fall around here. I'm coming back to Tallahassee.
Let's go.
As you listen to this, I'll be a few hours from getting on the road, coming back to Tallahassee. I'm going to be at recess Saturday night. So if any of you guys are in town and want to meet me up there, first drinks on me. Obviously, no masks. I'm not about that life, especially not at recess. What's the point? So wait in line with me at recess, get up there, and then I think Sunday I'm going to be trying to do a pub crawl all throughout on Tennessee Street. They still do those, right? Don't they, Aslan?
Yeah, the Tennessee Waltz, I think.
The Tennessee Waltz, that's right. So, so I'll be doing that on Sunday. Can't wait to see all you guys out there. Be safe.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.